We didn't want to leave.
Hello guys, so we are actually leaving Mauritius. Some mandates came out that were requiring teachers to get a vaccine or get PCR testing. So kind of put us in a predicament to need to leave the country because the PCR testing was very invasive and we weren't allowed on campus with the kids if we hadn't had a PCR testing in the last 7 days or if we weren't vaccinated. And just given our thoughts on the vaccination, we just decided that it was in our family's best interest, along with their contact tracing and forced quarantine, for us to leave the country. So we are headed to Paris and then on to London to stay with friends for about the next 6 weeks. How are you feeling, Misty?
In the middle.
In the middle?
I want to go on a plane and go to see my other friends, but I don't want to leave my friends here.
Yeah, we've got some good friends here, don't we?
Yeah.
Do you think we're in the United States?
United States!
Nope.
Huh?
Do you think we're in Mauritius?
Yes!
Nope. Think we're in France?
Yes!
Yep, that's right.
Wow!
Hey guys, so we're here in Crick, England now, staying with friends of ours, and as we mentioned before in the footage, we left Mauritius. It wasn't an easy choice. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't in the sense that we had no intentions of cutting our time there as short as we did. And there are people that we've come to love very much there. We've come to love the people there. And so to have that sort of abruptly end is difficult. And to have yet another transition is difficult. And so we're staying with friends now. That way Jake was on the same time schedule that the school is close enough. Otherwise he was going to be teaching overnight because he is staying on to finish the rest of the term. But it's a much bigger time difference if we talk about from the US or not. So let's talk about why exactly we left. Mauritian culture has a lot of beautiful things about it. The people are gracious. You know, it's very, very rich culture because there's so many cultures that are blended, so many different people groups. But one of the negative aspects of the culture there is somewhat heavy-handedness in policies, also like uncertainty in regards to implementation of policies. So you want to tell them about your experience with the
Yeah, well, so I'll give you an example. So basically one time I was going to open up a bank account and I wanted to make sure I had all the right documents that I needed. So I called 2 or 3 different people. I got 2 or 3 different lists of things that I needed. And then they said they called me back the day before my appointment and they said, okay, this is what you need to bring. And they changed the list a little bit. And I said, okay, well, fortunately I can get all those things, but just so you know, I've been told 3 different sets of lists of things I need to bring, and so it'd probably be good if everyone was being told the same thing. And the response was, I told you what you need to bring, see you tomorrow. So yeah, it was...
so you just made sure you brought everything that was
I
on
brought
all
everything.
4 of the lists.
I brought all 3 different lists and I had what I needed, but things changed quite a bit. And then whenever I just kind of brought that concern forward in a respectful way, it wasn't really heard. So that's kind of what Natalie's talking about.
And the culture there is not to question authority. And so, you know, people just follow orders. You know, from whoever's above them, you know, in whatever, you know, whether that's their supervisor, whether it's the government, you know, whoever it is. And so you can see the issue with the implementation of just getting a bank account. So some heavy-handed policy came down that you either had to have a PCR test done every 7 days or you had to have the vaccine in order to be present on a school campus. And if you did not have either one of those, then you had to pay a $12,500 US fine, and or you had to have up to 5 years in prison. And so that was hugely problematic for us because, you know, the vaccine's not something we're comfortable with, given the fact that we both had COVID. Even outside the fact that we both had COVID, it's not something we're comfortable with. And we have a lot of reasons for that. That's not really what we're talking about
Yeah, that's
here.
not the purpose of this
and
video.
So I'm not going to get into that. But, you know, we couldn't go along with that. There's also contact tracing that's going on, which forces you into quarantine if you are contact traced or if you're positive. And you know, they've had people in quarantine up to 45 days because they make you stay until you test negative. Even though, you know, in the US, the stance is you can test positive for up to 90 days. And so those things aren't things that we were willing to be comfortable with and potentially subject our family to, because the family is our first ministry. And the way that school was going to be reopening, there were some questions about, well, you know, Faith and Ava would have potentially gone on different days to school because of the differences in their grades. And so if Jake was there with one of them, would they be the only ones who would be forced to quarantine? Would it be all of us? You know, we don't know what that would look like, because some places it's the nice hotels. Other places it's, you know, the nursing home that nobody cleaned when it was shut down, and you're put into that with little to no cleaning supplies, you know, very little control over what you're fed, you know, what's brought in, those sorts of things. And so given the uncertainty of how things are implemented, we just didn't feel like we could stay. And the testing itself was prohibitive. So it was going to be anywhere from, what did we figure out, 400 to 600 US?
I think it was 400 to 600 US a month, which is a lot of money. And when you're talking Mauritian culture, is just, it
Really
might as well be
outlandish.
$10,000 a
Right.
month. It's not obtainable.
Yeah. So thankfully, you know, Yahweh provided us, He always does. And we have friends who moved to England recently, and they were gracious enough to say, yes, you can stay with us. You know, they have a large home that makes it really functional for both of our families to be able to be here. And so God provided even in our time of need through them. And we have faith that He'll continue to do so. We would like to know what we're doing beyond July 30th. We're working with Teach Beyond to potentially identify some other ways that we can serve with them, and, you know, corresponding about that. But sometimes the Father's word says He is a light unto your feet and a lamp unto your path. And if you've ever gone hiking with a light or a lamp, you know that doesn't always show you very far.
Right.
And so we don't know what's next at this point. We're tossing around different scenarios, praying about those scenarios most importantly, and, you know, just praying for open and shut doors. And so we just ask that you would be in prayer for us and be in prayer with us on those things, and, you know, just thank God for His provision in the process. And, you know, we don't feel like we misheard in going to Mauritius.
No, absolutely not. No, yeah.
We spent 2.5 months in lockdown, where we literally could only go out on our shopping day. And so the kids weren't allowed to leave the house unless they needed to go to the doctor. But, you know, during that time, we were able to really press in and draw together as a family and, you know, grow through that. The stretching that happened from, you know, moving into a new culture and growth that happened, you know, so thankful for all of that. It's difficult, but it was so worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even just coming here, you know, and the time we get to spend with our friends, you know, they have a rich family culture, and just being able to walk out life with them with regards to, you know, our homeschooling values and just our family values, and also potentially see some of England in the process. You know, we're thankful for all of that provision.
So as you guys can see, we know that the Father has already provided for us, and we know that He's going to continue to provide. So we appreciate you watching the videos and coming alongside us in this journey. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you also hit the bell so that way you get notified the next time we put out a video. And also share this video and like the video. And again, guys, we're excited for you to join us as we continue the journey and see what the Father has next for us. We'll see you on the next video.